Hey guys, how's it going? I found the perfect opportunity here to do a video on managing expectations. We're delivering a customer's car whom does not want to be on YouTube, so I can't do an interview, but it's basically coming from a detailer that tried to fix some scratches, a dent with some scratches in the valley of the dent. Not very big, but the scratches were drawing attention to the area. So she took it somewhere to get it taken care of, and then get the whole car spruced up a bit. And it did not turn out, to say the least, as they expected. So it ended up in my shop. So how I deal with expectations as a business owner, and also keeping the customer's perspective in mind with something like this, there's a scratch in the valley of the dent. I like to bring up to them, I'm not a body shop, obviously, but I can bring the scratch to a certain point where you'd almost have to have your nose up against it to see it, if it's through the clear coat at all. If it's not through the clear coat, I know through doing it all this time that I can remove it 100%, blend it in, and nobody will know it was even there. But I explained to her, I'm not a body shop, but my repair is going to cost just a tiny fraction of what a body shop would charge you to get it back to 100%, but you're going to have tape marks guaranteed somewhere. You're going to have overspray somewhere. You're going to have sand marks somewhere, unless they do a really good job. You're going to have an area where they blend it in, and if they don't do that perfectly, you're going to have that to draw some attention to the area. So it's a trade-off. So anyway, let me show you what was there and what was done to the vehicle and how it turned out. So this is one area of quite a few that I had to go back over. This is a scrape all along the side of the driver's side of the car, and it caught the rear quarter here pretty well. A few scratches, scrapes, two little dents, and some other rub marks. So we're going to do it the way I usually do it, and that's wet sanding, which of course happens to be the safest and quickest way to remove any scratch at all or any kind of paint correction whatsoever. We start off with the 100 grit disc, or if you just have sanding paper, wrap it around a magic eraser. That's a good way to do it, or a sponge, so it's just a little pliable. And we'll get to work on removing this damage the right way. This shouldn't take very long. We are going to have to do a bit of touch-up at the very end. There's some paint missing on the edge of the inner fender well, going into the inner fender well. So that's something that's going to have to be addressed at the end before a wax or sealant is applied. Alright, so I'm at the point where I want to remove residue and see where I'm at. So I have the first towel dampened with Strip Ease by Angel Wax. Helps clean the area, aids with getting the area nice and clean so we can see where we're at. And then the second towel is perfectly dry. And that looks good. So we're going to graduate to the next step. That's going to be the 3000 grit. At this point, the scratch is taken care of. So the 3000 and then the next step, the 5000, are all going to be just blending in and removing sand marks from the previous step. We are no longer worrying about the scratch itself. We're now just making the area a little bit larger in the part of blending in, and get ready for the 5000 grit. As I mentioned before, a lot of detailers would just jump straight to a polisher. I spend minimal time on a polisher, and it's probably why I get away with using some of the weaker polishers that you see. The Krios Garage 3-inch, it's not the strongest in the world. It's a serviceable polish, but it doesn't have a whole ton of power. And I also get away with using the Torx 10X. That's also not the strongest polisher in the world, but I can easily get away with that. because I don't need a lot of power and I don't spend a lot of time on it, because the damage or the blemish that I'm trying to remove or the area I'm trying to correct will be done by wet sanding first. Okay, the 5000 grit has done its job for me here in this step. It's time to graduate to the polish. It's going to be a cutting polish. We're going to take away the tape here first because we want to make the area a little bit larger and do some more blending in. Here is the Griot's Garage 3-inch polisher I was speaking of earlier. You'll see me use it in a lot of small scratch repair or areas on front and rear bumpers or contours. Yeah, it doesn't have a ton of power, but I'm not going to be on this machine very long to begin with. It doesn't take a lot to finish from the 5000 grit. So really it won't be longer than a minute or two and we'll be moved on to the next step. Usually an ultra fine finishing polish or Angel Wax's perfect polish depending on the color. So we'll remove that spent polish or the residue with a clean edgeless microfiber, and as I always do between each step, we're going to be doing some residue control, cleaning the pad. And just a quick bring in, show you how it serves its purpose. You can see the lining of the bucket splattered with the spent compounds and polishes, and then what's at the bottom of the bucket. It does a great job in containing residue. Alright, I'm choosing here to finish up with an ultra-fine cutting polish before we add wax or a sealant. That's going to do it. I'm going to wipe off the residue and then grab the strip ease and clean the slate for a little bit of touch-up before a wax or sealant is chosen. That's filling in nicely, and I believe they're going to be pleased. They weren't expecting the area to be completely repaired 100%. I'm not a body shop, and I set expectations at a level when we deliver this, they're going to be happy. They're going to have a smile on their face. It's a balance you have to find through experience, be able to read your customers, and it'll be a win-win situation for you both. It's always telling to take your work out into the natural daylight to see the progression, see how it's turned out, so that's where we go. Alright guys, that's gonna about do it for this video. I just wanted to share, when somebody pulls up, I don't say 100% every time that I can remove or repair the damage to 100% perfection. I'll leave just enough doubt in their minds that when they get it back and they see it is close to perfection, or if it's not, which is a relative term to begin with, but they're usually ecstatic, happy, driving away with a huge smile on their face. It's a balance you got to find for yourself if you own a business. So I hope that helped a little bit. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate. Brian from Apex Detail. We'll catch you next time.